So, we are talking today about the inner kingdom. But in reality, what is happening with us? Most of us spend our lives unaware of who we truly are. The moment we open our eyes at birth itself, the five senses, what is happening with the five senses? We are getting bombarded by everything that the outside world has to offer. All those situations, objects, relationships, everything we are being bombarded by that. It's like a tidal wave of experiences, and we are engulfed in that. And all we can do is try to navigate through it, try to stay afloat. And we all also get a sense, I think, of realizing that we are not completely in control. But the thing is that we are identified by our body, we are identified by our thoughts, which say, oh, I am short, I am tall, I am fat, I am thin, I am beautiful, I am ugly, I am a woman, I am a man. So, all of these identities drive us. And what does it do? We are caught up in the world because now we want to find pleasure. We seek pleasure in the outside world so that our body, our thoughts, our emotions, they can get pleasure. And this makes us get controlled by the outside world. We are like that leaf which has broken from a tree, which is at the mercy of the winds. We have broken from our inner reality, like that leaf, and now we are at the mercy of the world. How you say? Sometimes we feel, oh, we are in control, but are we really in control? Anything that happens, if it's not to our liking, relationships, situations, what happens to us? We get angry, we get upset, like the remote control has been given to somebody else. So we are in the mercy of this world like that leaf. But the gurus tell us that that is not our true reality that we are identifying with. Yogananji told a group of his disciples, you don't know how beautiful you are. I see you all as pure light. We are that pure, perfect, beautiful souls. We are joyful beings, but we do not have eyes to see that as the saints have. Our inner kingdom is filled with riches. It's glorious and beautiful. There was, in the Autobiography of a Yogi, Yogananji mentions a great saint, Bahaduri Mahashay. We may know him as the levitating saint. So once a disciple tells Bahaduri Mahashay, Master, you're so great. You left so much of the wealth that you had and your worldly home, and you took sannyas just to help us find God and to find God. And Bhadri Mahashay says, you know, it is the worldly people who are the true renunciates. I just left a few paltry rupees and I gained a blissful cosmic kingdom, while all of you in the world, you leave the riches of this inner kingdom and you go after some earthly toys. So he completely reversed the definition of a renunciate. We are so scared of renunciation. We are so scared of this term non attachment. We are always hunting, we are on the spiritual path. How can we define non attachment in such a way that we can still be with our families, we can still love them and go through, all our relationships? But truly, we feel scared about renouncing our sense pleasures, the riches and comforts. Now that I'm on the spiritual path, do I have to give this up? Do I have to give that up? But what are we giving up? Do we really see that we are truly Satchitanand? We are Paramanand. We are eternal bliss. We are eternal joy. And the pleasures which are temporary in the world, they are not going to give us that fulfillment that we can get from that inside. That if we can only connect to that fountain of joy that exists within us with the right understanding, with the right identity, when we face the world, then we'll be able to access that fountain of joy, and that will get us much more fulfillment than any of the pleasures that we can hope to get in this world. But the reality also is this, that something stops us from really understanding and who we truly are, from accessing our inner kingdom. So the scriptures have this story, where they say Brahmaji is the creator god, right? So he was charged with creating the world. Now, he did what he could do. He created man through his own mind. But this man went out into the world. He knew who he was. He knew his inner kingdom was joyful and rich. And he knew that he was Aham Brahmasmi. He was God. So he did not want to go out. He did not get tempted by the outer world. He just meditated and again merged back with God. Then Brahmaji, disappointed, created another man. But the same thing happened several times. Now Brahmaji is pondering what to do. This is not really working out. Creation is not going to happen. So he decides a brain wave, Maya. He decides to now introduce Maya into the mix, and he covers this human being that he had created, this web of Maya, of delusion, of confusion. And this person, who was now filled with Maya, felt that it is outside me that I can get joy, because he could now not see. The veil was put over his inner kingdom. He could not see inside. And now he had desires in the world. A chain of desires was created so that creation could be kept perpetuating. And what happened? Man, from that day onwards, started looking for that joy and fulfillment in the place where it did not exist. We've all grown up with that story of somebody losing his ring in a dark place, and he goes and looks for it in the lighted up place because that's where the light is. But before we actually think about it, we laugh at this person. This is exactly what we are doing. We have lost our joy and fulfillment inside of us, but we don't have a map. We cannot see it. We are unaware of it. So where do we choose to look for it? What comes to us naturally in the outer world, that is where we seek. But what can we do about it? A very good idea is to switch on the light in the inner kingdom, right? And who can help us do that? A Sadguru. Get the guidance of a person who can guide you to the light switch of your inner kingdom. And all of these techniques that we are learning on our path, Hong Saw, energization exercises, the pranayams, even count breathing, what are they doing? Gradually, they are opening the door of the inner kingdom, making us more and more aware of this heaven within us, and slowly guiding us to switch on the light there. So it's a really good idea to try and practice every day, because Maya, working through its instrument of the mind, is very, very powerful, very delusional. And every day we think, oh, this is not really required. What am I even doing? What am I even achieving? And all sorts of justifications and all sorts of contradictions are filled in our mind by Maya. So, the power of Maya gets even to sometimes the great saints. Swami Kriyananda, in the New Path, he talks about an incident which happened with him. He said, usually I don't get into moods, and Master, that is Yogananji, his guru, would keep warning him, don't get into moods, don't get into moods. They are just delusionary. So Swamiji would not really normally. But one particular time, he was feeling very unhappy, because he was longing to be with his guru, who was out for a long time. Yogananji had been out on tours for a long time. So he was really missing him. One day, Yogananji comes back, and now Swamiji is really excited. He wants to meet him and just find an excuse somehow to, go into his room. What happens is that he gets a chance. He's told to carry something to Yogananji's kitchen. And he goes there and he starts making so much noise there, hoping that the guru will hear him and he'll say, oh, come here, I've also been missing you. But this does not happen. As much noise as he makes doesn't happen. And now he goes into this abyss of the mind, the abyss of the mood. The power of Maya is such, he starts to say, Oh, for him, I am nothing. I'm just a worker, not a disciple. Then another thought in the mind. No, no, Guru really cares. It's just you who are worthless. You are hopeless. So he's doesn't want to waste his time on you. Then another part of the mind says, oh no, but the Guru is so busy. Can't you see if he spends time with all his disciples, what is he going to do? And another says, oh, he doesn't want to waste time with you. That's why he's saying, let me work on this letter so I don't have to call this hopeless disciple of mine. And so on for a long time. This goes on in his mind. Finally, he says, that's it. And he decides to take refuge in his inner kingdom. He goes and meditates deeply and goes into super consciousness in 5 minutes. He said, I was so uplifted, so positive, that all of these thoughts just disappeared. There was such clarity of mind. He didn't have to think, oh, Guru is busy, or this is happening, or that. Nothing. It was so clear in his mind the minute he went into his inner power and inner strength, inner joy he accessed. That minute it became clear to him. Oh, of course, the Guru's busy. If he spends time with thousands of his disciples, how is he going to write books, ads, etc., etc.? So this is important. The mind through Maya is going to keep us in delusion. Our refuge is our inner kingdom. So Yogananji says that when this I shall die, then shall I know who I am. And what is this I that needs to die? This is the ego, the soul identified with our body, with our mind. This ego consciousness needs to die. And the minute we start to do that, what happens? The beauty of our inner kingdom is revealed to us. Our soul consciousness, who we truly are, is really revealed to us. Thank you, Jai Guru.
About the inner kingdom, I was thinking about it throughout this week, and I was just asking to my friends also, what is this inner kingdom? And I then remembered a story which inspired to really look into myself. The story is about two different people migrating from one city, let's call it city A, to another city, city B. So it was a day-long travel. They'll have to walk and cover this distance. And the first person, when he starts from the city A and walks, in the midway he breaks the journey, has lunch, and he meets a farmer. And he asks the farmer, I'm going to relocate myself to the city, city B, and how do you think that city will be? And farmer asks him back that, how was city A? How did it treat you? And the person said, oh, it was very nice. The people were very loving and caring. And I always felt at home there. It is just because my job has moved, I am relocating. I actually don't want to leave the city. Then the farmer will assure him, don't worry, the city you're going to will also be very lovely. You will love the people there and you will enjoy, you will feel at home there. The next day, another person crosses, and at midday, he meets the farmer and he asks the same question, I'm going to the city B, how it would be? Have you been there? Do you know anything about it? Again, the farmer asks the same question, how was city A to you? And he says, well, I never liked it. The people there were very bad, very selfish. I really wanted to leave that city. I'm glad I'm going to a new place. And the farmer would say, well, I'm sorry to say, city B is also filled with selfish people. You may not like it there. So why did the farmer give two different answers about the same place? Because he really understood that what we see outside ourselves is a projection of our inner self, or the outer world is a reflection of our inner world. And we have also heard about this from childhood. We have heard about a proverb that beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. And even in Swami Sri Yukteswar, when he meets Mahavatar Babaji for the first time in Allahabad Kumbh Mela, Yukteswar ji was not happy with a lot of people who are, dressing up like sadhus, and he was not really enthusiastic to see these people. And Mahavatar Babaji corrected him to say and saying, "This world is a mixture. It's a mixture of sugar and sand. Be like a wise ant which will take the sugar and leave the sand." But how do we take the sugar only? How can we see joy? How can we always be harmonious? If you remember last week's satsang, Chika shared that if you want to be harmonious with everybody, at first you have to be harmonious within yourself. She quoted Asha saying that. So first, we need to work in our inner kingdom. We need to fix ourselves. And there is another story which, supports the same. A sage will be crossing a kingdom and visiting the king of that kingdom on invitation, and the king would complain about a disease which he had for a long time, and the king would ask him for remedies. Sage, why don't you bless me? I want to get rid of this disease. And the sage would say that, well, for the next 6 months, don't look at any color other than green color. And he would leave. So on the way back, when this journey, on the return journey, sage would again go to the kingdom and to check on the king. And the guards will stop him and say, well, you can't meet our king. Why not? You can meet only if we paint you green in color. Like, why? Because you told that he should see only green color. Look at us. He has painted us green. He has painted the interior green. In fact, he wanted to paint the whole kingdom green unless he thought that he cannot paint the sky. So the sage would say, all right, I wouldn't see him. I can talk to him without seeing to him. And he would advise the king saying that, why did you have to paint everybody around you green color? You could always use green glasses to see through and everything will look green. So the change comes from within. Change yourself and you have done your part in changing the world. And never forget that the inner kingdom is from the place where the change begins. In school, we have been taught this rhyme, Johnny Johnny is Papa, but long before that, we have this story from Srimad Bhagavatam, which every one of us in India knows, where Krishna, the naughty young kid, who's always playing pranks, who's always out there having fun at others' expense, at one point takes a handful of mud and eats it, and his elder brother Balrama runs to Yashoda and say, Mommy, see, he's eating handful of sand. Krishna is doing this again. Can you come? And then of course a troubled mother runs to Krishna and asks him, like, why are you eating sand? And he said, no, they all lie. I am not eating. Of course she says, open your mouth, and instead of Krishna saying ha ha ha, he just gives a darshan of the infinite universe. Yashoda could see stars, planets, oceans, all that was, all that is, all that will ever be. She could see herself inside Krishna's mouth, seeing into Krishna's mouth. And the divine avatar floods that cosmic vision that of the inner kingdom with Maya, and Yashoda comes out of it and again becomes a troubled mother and just let Krishna be. But that's a story which we can always remember, that the infinite kingdom lies within ourselves. So I like to quote from Bhagavad Gita. As you already might have known, Paramhansa Yogananda said that Mahabharata was not a story, just a story, or it was not a war which happened thousands of years ago in a battlefield of Kurukshetra. It is a war which is happening between good and bad tendencies within us every single second of life. Pandavas are within us, Kauravas are within us. So this sloka, in the chapter 2, Krishna says, do not refuse this opportunity for righteous combat. If you do, other warriors will assume that you have avoided fighting out of fear. Those who thought highly of you henceforth will come to regard you slightingly. Your foes will speak your name with contempt and will ridicule your prowess. Could anything be more painful? And Paramhansa Yogananda gives the allegorical explanation of this sloka thus. The spiritual interpretation is, every devotee must be aware of the fact that both good and bad habits, or both good and bad habits people, populate the inner kingdom of our consciousness. When the devotee places the searchlight of his introspection on his inner kingdom and beholds the invading hordes of evil tendencies advancing to obtain the wealth of his peace and to defeat the protecting soldiers of good tendencies, he should act like a spiritual general and fight his bad tendencies. Every devotee who allows himself to be passive and lets the evil tendencies take over him will be mockingly destroyed the power of his self-control. So how do we wage this war within ourselves? Of course, we can fight people outside us, but how can we fight within ourselves? It's through Kriya Yoga, of course. When Lahiri Mahashaya got initiated by Mahavatar Babaji near Raniket in the Dunagiri mountains, after initiating, he said, "My son, arise. Receive your initiation into the kingdom of God through Kriya." And that's what Jesus Christ also said, "Seek thee the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you." So we will work through Kriya Yoga with all the techniques we know, Hongsa, energization, Om especially, and Kriya, affirmations, to defeat the evil tendencies in our inner kingdom, so that our inner kingdom is filled with good and righteous people. And once we fill ourselves with the good tendencies of righteous people within us, we will feel joy, harmony, peace within us. And the world we live in will also be joyful, peaceful, and harmonious. Thank you.